Hello everybody and welcome to the Assetto Corsa Formula 1 Championship. Today we are racing in Brazil, the beautiful Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Where, actually, let me check something quick. ACF1, checking I'm live. At least on the right channel. I am! Cool, give me a sec. We are just about in practice, but just before we start, I was meant to be showing a different picture, so let me load that up for you guys. So, we actually have got two world champions in the grid, as Samil a few weeks ago in Italy won the world championship, and so we have not only Timo, who won in season 1, we now have Samil, who won in season 2 with 5 wins, 3 fastest laps and 4 pole positions, hoping to gain a 5th pole position and maybe even a 6th win. I'd like to apologise quickly now if I am muting a lot in the stream, or if I do cough. I'm not feeling 100%, but I'm feeling good enough to be racing here. And so, if I just update the drivers' standings really quickly to me, then I will jump over to show you beautiful viewers. And after I show you this, we will get to watching the racing. So as we can see here, Samuel Ivanov with 161.5 points due to the 0.5 due to Monaco. Timo Nathaniel with 109.5 points. Max Romer with 92 points. Fulvio Phoenix with 48 points, and Alex Helm and Brady on 43 points. If we move over to the teams championships, you have Beiju Racing Honda with 201.5 points. You have Breaking Point Racing on 182 points, only about 20 points between them, so Breaking Point could still be the chance of winning the championship. But with the skill at which the two Beiju Racing drivers are at, it's very unlikely, because while Sam Hill or Jason could be... No, I keep on saying Jason. Sorry. Apologies. Samuel could win the next couple of races. Timo and Max will be very close to them. And so I think even if Samuel can get them to the 200 and something points they need at the minute, I still don't think it will be 100% the possibility of them winning the championship. But as we go to the on-track action, I haven't been through the rest of the order. So you have Beiju Racing Honda in P1, Breaking Point Racing P2, Rockstar Force Tunisia in P3, 2012 Motorsport in P4, and Minty Fresh Mugen in P5 with 90 points. As we now go to the racing, as Samuel is spinning, they're all hitting the wall and having a little bit of a glitched moment as we watch our fast driver at the minute, which is Fulvio Phoenix, a very skilled Force Tunisia driver, coming through T1 and T2 now. Ooh, the internet from either me or the other driver is not looking 100%. The irritation isn't looking great, but racing is racing. As I make sure you can actually hear the cars, you can. Good to know. Yes, here we are at the Sao Paulo circuit. I don't know the action. I will give it a Google now. Sao Paulo GP. Apologies if you hear any sounds in the background, because that is my sibling. Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. In Sao Paulo, Brazil. As around the final corner, Fulvio Phoenix goes. Decided to start or to finish a lap. We haven't had any timing, so I guess it's the start. There we are. Timer is working now. He's gone faster there by about a tenth of a second. As now through T4, or down to T4 we go. Braking very late there. Good rotation, lots of speed through the corner. Turn 5 is flat out. Turn 6, which you're braking through turn 6 kind of. Turn 6 and 7, so that when you get to turn 8, you're sort of constantly steering to that section. Always turn to the right a little bit. And sort of only just before turn 7. Oh, as Phoenix is off there at turn 9. Exit turn 9. As we now look to our reigning world champion Samuel Ivanov, getting a little bit of a tow from his teammate Jason Milanov down to T4, just to see how strong the slipstream is and how much they can work together as teammates. A little bit wide there, losing the rear of the car a little bit, but and completely losing there. Into the wall goes Samuel Ivanov. He's going to return to pit lane there. As Jason Milanov next to turn 9 loses the car and he's upside down. The car is upside down. Okay, he's returns to pit lane, everything's fine because it's the virtual world. In real life, that would be quite a distressing thing to see. As we go to the It's Dame racing car of Jeremy Guth, taking himself to the line to start a flyer. Breaking into T1, very nice, nothing too bad. Car seems very stable. As we head down to T4 now. Well, I've got a nice amount of camera angles for this track. Oh, they'll get procedurally further away. That's camera 6. Oh, that's very nice. Into T10. That is. Keep it very nice. T12. To the left. T12. T12 and 13. A little bit wide. They're getting on the curbs. Because 13, 14 and 15 aren't really corners at this track. I don't think they ever were. I think they were just sort of a flick of the wheel, no braking really needed. Jeremy Guth a little bit off of the pace with a 1:14 there, with the fastest time being a 1 minute 9.1. How close can he get to pole position sector 1 time? He's about 8/10 off there. Interesting fact that the driver with the most wins at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix is actually Alain Prost with 6 wins, and the constructor with the most wins at the moment is McLaren with 12 wins. Though last year we had, or this year even, we have Kevin Magnussen second pole position and Mercedes 1-2, which we will love to see. There's about 2 seconds, that's interesting, 2 seconds difference between the race fastest lap and pole position. Probably usual, but it just feels like a big gap. Don't normally pay attention to it. Anyway, none of that matters. We are looking at a set course of Formula 1, which... Ooh, Jason Milanov getting a bit out of shape on the exit through turn 3, hitting the wall. These walls are throwing cars up. He's on the side, as that is an Aquail racing car leaving. I can't really select any cars until they've finished one flying lap. So hopefully as many drivers as possible can set a flying lap in this practice session. Oh, that's Anastasov getting a little bit out of shape through turn 9 there. As we watch from behind the car down into turn 1, a little bit of a drone shot here. Very nice, nothing too out of the ordinary. Through turn 10 there. Car seems very hooked up. That still seems to know what they're doing with this car and the setup. Ooh, as I say that, the car's getting a little bit squirrely. The exit of 12 there. As he crossed the line. Doesn't seem to move. Ooh, a little bit of a Tokyo drift there through turn 1. Taking it slowly through turn 2, and probably to return to pit lane. As Nassim is off at turn 4 there. We go to Jason Milanov. Breaking point racing cars at the minute are 2nd and 5th. Through turn 8 with Jason. Turn 9. Cars looking very stable. Nothing too ambitious from the car. Trying to squirrel its way out of control. As we had Timo Nathaniel there on Nathaniel. Timo Nathaniel fell at turn 11. I think that was. As Jason coming to the end of his lap now, crosses the line and doesn't improve on his time at the minute. It's only practice, so it's just putting the laps in, not essentially putting the fastest laps in every time. As down, breaking it just about the 50-meter board there. Through turn 4. Very nice. So 7. Turn 8. Turn 9. 10. Everything looks good. Through a long left hand to the rear and steps out a little bit, keeping the car very much under control. With Phoenix very much pulling the lap times away from the rest of the pack. 8/10 to Milano and almost 9/10 to Nassim at the minute. Can drivers improve their lap times? As they are, Jason does not improve, going 2.7 down on the pole position time. Look at Milano going 2nd place for Breaking Point Racing, losing the car through T1. So we make sure I have the correct camera settings selected. So we look now to Anastasov making his way through T8 and T9. Everything seems good. Whoa. God, long day. Long old day. Now go to Cisco's channel. mute myself just to see if anyone's watching. Oh, four viewers, very nice. Hello, everyone watching. We don't have any Ven today. That's perfectly fine, I can take it. Ooh, and that's still going a little wide at 2-1. That breaks himself off. It's just going wide, because we now have our former reigning world champion, the world champion from season 1, Timo Nathaniel, 2/10 down on his fastest lap at the minute. Or 2/10 down on the fastest lap at the minute, which would improve his lap time, but he seems to have a little bit more pace that he needs to find, because at the moment it's looking like he's going to go P2 unless his middle sector time comes out a little bit slower than he'd like. As we look now to the as he loses the car through the exit of turn 10, just getting on the power a little bit too early. Looking to our world champion now of Samuel Ivanov. I'm finding different ways to pronounce these names every single race, aren't I? Samuel Ivanov through T4, I think. Oh, I know, turn 8, 9, the last couple. And turn 1, 2, 3, 4. Apologies, I rant on quite a lot about what I do and do not know about the tracks, don't I? Apologies to that. It's Ivanov through turn 10 there. Everything's nice as he comes to the end of the sector. He is about almost 8/10 off of pole position, so he's going to need a worldie of a final sector, which is just a straight really, to find sort of 3 or 4 tenths to improve on his time. Coming to the end of the lap now, he crosses the line and doesn't improve. It's only practice, but if you aren't able to get the lap times in practice, it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get them in quali. Where in real life you might have teams sandbagging a little bit, or something like that. Ooh, was that a tap there? Was Samuel 3,000th faster? But in an effort to get a slipstream, there may have been a maybe Samuel didn't collide, but there may have been a little bit of net code where the game, thinking Samuel had collided, that pushed the Minty Fresh car around and out of the confines of the circuit. Samuel now, is he improved? Still in the middle sector? No, he hasn't. He's about 2/10 off, but that still improves on his lap time. So can we have the Breaking Point racing car on pole position at the top of the session in practice to chance for maybe a Grand Slam? Can we get our first sub-9 lap? We can't, but we can get very close if Samuel does improve on his lap time now. Only about 3/10 away from Fulvio Phoenix. Oh, as he goes round there. I want to try and find a way where I can pull data from a set course using Python, just so I can have graphics and stuff all made up, and then just have a text file edit them. Oof. Where's Discord? There it is. We have Soul. Who's that? That's just spun round in pit lane. I'll have two more on me in a second because I saw a car that could have been a car without a skin. Look around the cast. I don't have anyone to go to. Oh, what do you think about how the racing's going to be today? Oh well. Oh, illness. Not much quite going on. If I find the thing that I opened up Discord to find and then got distracted. For next season, for the season 3, this isn't quite the end of the season yet, but if you tune in to this channel on January the 13th, 2023, for 3 hours from 6 PM British time, 7 PM CST and 8 PM EET, we will have 3 hours of pre-season testing going on. If you'd like to watch it, it'll be at the Italian track Mugello, which personally is an amazing track. Very high speed, lots of courage needed to go into the corners. We'll be racing 2013 cars, as we were running 2009 cars this season. We're running 2013 cars for next season, so we slowly catch up to Formula 1, jumping X amount to a good car each season. Might be a little bit easier to control than this car, as the calendar has 14 races, and unlike this season, that is going to finish in Brazil while we finish in Japan this year. Everything about the everything about it can be found somewhere. It's all on the Discord for the drivers to watch, and for the viewers, you'll just be updated. I think it actually is on the Instagram, actually. If we've got the Instagram, we have got the Instagram. The Instagram is in the description if you want to. I was just having a quick look around. The Instagram should have everything about next year either coming up onto it or on it already. So we've watched stuff for a bit. All sliding through turn 8 there. We go to Jason Milanov, Breaking Point Racing driver, who throughout the course of this season, I feel we've had a lot of talents, new and young talents come into the league, and hopefully for next season there'll be a lot more drivers fighting for the championship, because we've had Ivanov and Timo fighting for most of the season, but I feel like Milanov, Nassim, Phoenix, and maybe even Rost and Astasov could fight for the championship next year. It's going to be a very packed sort of top 6, top 7 with very strong drivers. So we'll have to see for next season though. The cars will be handling different. The way you have to create a setup will be, I would say different, but it'll be the same. It's just, whoa, as the car hits the barrier there seems to be a safety issue with these barriers, where the second you hit them with any sort of speed or any sort of angle, they'll just throw you into the air, which isn't what you want. It punishes the drivers more for hitting the wall, but in real life, if a track was like that, where the cars will get thrown into the air on contact with that certain part of the track, that would be very much a safety hazard. It may deter drivers from going all out in quali. And always Samil's round there, the exit of turn 12. 4/10. Oh, Phoenix has actually gone below 1 minute 9 now. So as we look to Sarah Milevitova. I'm not going to get your name right, Sarah. I do apologise. But 1.7 off the lead at the minute. Can she improve any more? As taking it very wide there, not quite getting to the apex in that one, I don't think, but we'll have to see. As taking unconventional racing line there, not quite sure that is within track limits there, Sarah, but we'll have to see. 1.4 off of the lead. And now we're just taking it to the line, flat out. Line of least resistance to get to the start finish line. Who's the line? Only a few thousandths off her best. Consistency is there. Pace isn't quite. As Timo disconnects from the server, probably to message me something. Let's see. As we watch onboard with Fulvio Phoenix now. Into the final corner of the lap. Now it's just a straight push down to the line. Taking the line of least resistance across the timing beam. Set a lap time of 1 minute 10.4, about 2 seconds off his fastest, but not extremely far off any lap time. The others assessing. Raw KB at the minute is 4.7 seconds off of the fastest time. We still have 11 minutes and 50 seconds in this practice session. And there's not quite much going on. It's a lot more difficult to commentate on your own because you can't back and forth with someone. So it's like for next season we might have a new commentator coming in, but we'll have to see. Timo has returned. Nassim has improved to be faster than Timo is P4 Nassim, as we'll swap to him now, the P3 driver, who I feel could very much be in contention for the championship next year, staying with 2012 Motorsport, I think. I haven't quite been keeping up with the news of the teams for next season. I'll look at them now. Who is Nassim racing for? I can't see Nassim on the grid. No, there he is. He's racing for Trailbreak Super Team with my co-commentator Ven, who will be driving next year. And so that is all very interesting. At the moment we have Samuel actually is only racing one season with us. He's winning the championship and then he is retiring for now. And so at Breaking Point, is it Breaking Point Racing? At Breaking Point Racing, yes, we'll have Jason Milanov and Rost Anastasov, the driver in P5 and the driver in P6, and will both be teammates for next year. as Nassim in pits as we watch with Samil, our reigning world champion, who I'm surprised this is his second last race with us at the minute, unless he decides to return either some point next season for a reserve spot, or maybe as a full-time drive for season 4. Never know. Checking reserve spots, I can't see the 21 on there, so I don't think there are any spots for Samuel next year. But as the practice stands, with 8 minutes and 10 seconds to go, we have Fulvio Phoenix in P1, Nassim Rula in P2 actually, beating out Samuel Ivanov. Samuel P3, Timo P4, Anastov P5, Jason Milano P6, Bernat P7, Guth P8, and KB P9. Only 9 drivers having set representative lap times at the minute. There is hopefully more to come, but if not, Timo disconnecting from the server again, it seems. But anyway, ooh, Samuel stopping off, setting a lap time. Timo, pardon me, returning back. And that's just off there. Milanov. So we have 3 drivers on the track at the minute. And I'll Q on board with Jason Milanov, and I'll he returns to pit lane. I'll jump on with Samuel. So I'll leave you for that. This track on board with Jason Milanov. No, I will not. He's stopping there. I'll jump on board with Samuel Ivanov as he is on an outlap. As that is Samuel round at turn 4, he's kept the car going, everything's good. He's probably just going to take it back to pit lane as Fulvio Phoenix left the session. He should return at some point. At the minute we have Phoenix as fast, I think. I need to get the timings up. Is that it? There we are. Live timings. That isn't correct. 4 minutes 30 seconds left to this session. I think it's having a ping issue, it seems. at the minute. The timings go: Fulvio Phoenix in P1, Samuel Ivanov P2, Massim P3, Timo P4, Jason P5, and that's P6, Max Roma P7, Jeremy Guth P8, Will KV P9, and Stephen Coverta P10. Our top 5 all in pit lane at the minute. Jason Milanov, ooh, rear end of the car getting a little bit twitchy. Ooh, the top 6 are all within a second of each other, and the 4th to 6th are all within a 10th, which is very good to see when you think from a racing stance. As we'll ride on board for the rest of the lap with Max Roma. Ooh, that is a big crash from us off hitting the barrier, it seems, and flying into the air, landing upside down again. This track, unrelenting, where if you make a mistake in the race, that will be interesting to see if drivers are maybe pushed into a mistake and maybe just hit the wall through a small mistake and end up upside down. Because rules with this league is that if you return to pit lane during the race session, you will be disqualified from the finishing order if you do finish the session. So it'd be interesting to see how that turns out. For now, let's leave that. Hopefully this can create as good racing as it did in real life. And ooh, that's a nice round. Not quite 100% energy today, but I'm here to give you your race commentation. As we have, I'm having a little bit of issues with the ACF1 hosting website, but that does not matter at all. Oh, that's sort of losing the car a little bit into turn 1. Will KB and Stephen Coverza being the only 2 drivers on track at the minute. Will KB fighting the car around turn 8 and stopping the car on the entry to turn 9. So Coverza is now the only driver on track in the bright white livery car, which is probably just a mistake on my end for not downloading a skin. But oh the wells. Looks like he seems to be driving on his own, as he's in the open talk section, not any team section. As I'm going to change the scene quick, as I'm going to try and log out and log back in to try and set up See if there is a skin for Steven. And we are back. I'm just joining the session now. I think I have the skins for all the cars. I will have a look, but the practice session went finishing order being Fulvio Phoenix, the only driver to get into the 1 minute 8s. Samuel Ivanov second, Nassim Marula third, Timo Nathaniel fourth, Rost Anastasov fifth, Jason Milanov sixth, Sarah P7, Victor P8, Max P9, and Jeremy P10. Drivers all talking about how for next season we will not be running the VRC Williams 2009 car. We'll be running the Racing Studio RSS 2013 car, which is a sim recreation of Sebastian Vettel's championship winning 2013 Red Bull car, which I do not know the name of. I want to say I'm googling it quick. Red Bull F1, the RB9, there we are, is a recreation of Sebastian Vettel's championship winning RB9. Drivers all looking forward to it. Even I'm looking forward to it, and I might put a little bit of time into the car. Maybe in the practice sessions, I will do a few laps on my side to show you what a slow driver can do with this car in a nice little wild card livery. I probably won't be allowed to drive on track, and I'll probably end up being very quiet, but I'll try and take myself off of line going into corners, and then take a sort of do a slowish lap, making sure there's no drivers that I'll be hindering going through it, and then do a fast lap to show you how it looks me trying a fast lap, and then we'll ride on board with the pole positions of fastest drivers just to see how they sit, and hopefully that will just help show how my skill is as a driver. I'm not the fastest driver, but I definitely don't feel I am the slowest driver. Maybe the drivers in this league will make me seem like I'm a slower driver, but everyone racing in this league has a high amount of skill. So I'll talk to Timo, who is the world champion, a one-time world champion, and the organizer of this league, but we'll have to see. Good luck to all. I was confused by chicken egg, actually. Drivers giving their opinion on this year's car. Not quite the type of car they'd want to drive, but oh, that is Jason almost into the wall there. His teammate Samuel Ivanov just following. I try and jump to watching Fulvio Phoenix, the driver who set the fastest lap in practice. Can he do some spectacular thing like he did there in this qualifying session? On his outlap now, you can see just getting the car around the lap, making sure temperatures are right, hoping his setup is on point so that he can set the fastest lap. 20 minutes of qualifying, 19 minutes to go, and this is just a shootout to 0 minutes. And to start the lap, he goes. Little screen to look at, braking into T1. Everything looks good. Car seems fine. Very stable. Phoenix being quite a skilled driver, doesn't seem to be having too many issues. 6 seconds faster than, I'm presuming, his outlap, or just probably Jeremy Youth's outlap, as he was the first one out, so he'd be setting the benchmark time. As we watch Fulvio Phoenix into turn 8 now. I think it's this very slow winding turn. Turn 9 even slower and even longer. Into turn 10, which is quite fast but still quite a tight corner. Turn 11, flat left-hander. Turn 12, sort of the final corner of the lap, but there's still about 3 more to go, even though none of them are braking. They're all flat out. It's just taking the line of least resistance to cross the time to be able to set the fastest lap and cross the line and finish. The first qualifying lap is a 1 minute 9.195. As we go back through the grid, see Max Romero crossing the line to set a 1 minute 10.8. Samuel Ivanov crossing the line, setting a 1 minute 20.9. Not quite sure that was a push lap. Maybe there's 2 push laps in Samuel. Tyres will be a little bit worn, but Samuel, being the world champion, he can still set blistering lap times. 2,000ths faster than pole position in that first sector, and hopefully just finding time throughout the rest of this lap. We ride on board into turn 7 and turn 8, and getting the car in nicely. Turn 10, sort of V'ing off the corner by taking an earlier apex and then getting on throttle to get a later apex. Fast, keep the car hugged to the inside of the corner, bring it out to open up this left-hander here. Now it's just flat out taking the shortest line possible to the timing being to cross it and set what could be the fastest lap of this session. He's got a 1 minute 9.1 to beat. He crosses the line and sets a 1 minute 9.5. Second place by about 4/10 of a set. 3 3/3 tenths of a second. As Nassim Rula actually hips him to P2. So at the moment our top 3, not everyone has set a lap time yet, but our top 3 is Fulvio Phoenix, Nassim Rula and Samuel Ivanov. As now watch Nassim on his in lap, I'm presuming. This could be another flying lap from him. He's about 2/10 off pole position, so a little bit faster than his previous time, but nothing to call home about. Only about 9 to 11, only about 11 thousandths faster. 11 hundredths faster. Cross the line. 1/10 off. He does improve, but not by enough. Ivanov now wide at turn 12 just to get the best run down this straight to be at a higher top speed by the time he gets to the end of the straight. There is not Coverta there. Illness. Into turn 1, Samuel goes. Very nice. Gets to the apex of turn 1. A lot of curb in turn 2. Lots of curb at the beginning of turn 3. Taking the tightest line through there. Bring the car out as you get to the very end. 6 thousandths faster than Phoenix in that first sector. As we've seen, does lose a lot of time. Quite wide there. That might be track limits. I'm not quite sure. We have to see as he gets to the line. But through turn 8 now. Samuel taking this all very nicely. Car behaving underneath him. Not trying to squirm away. So 151.8. Wasn't quite able to open up turn 11 as much as he might want it to. A second off now and then losing the car into turn 12. He's going to take it to the end of the lap, I think, but he's not quite there for the pace he might have wanted. I'm thinking about a 110, maybe even 111. Oh, it was that was an invalidated lap time, I'm presuming from that turn 4 instant. So we'll just look to Jason Milanov now. He's looking to try and set a 1 minute 9 as Phoenix improves his lap time even more, making it even more difficult for the grid to match it and beat it. Jason is 4 tenths off of pole position after his first sector. Or second sector, my mistake. Can he get into the 1 minute 9s? He should be able to. There we are, 1 minute 9.8, so about 7 tenths off of pole position, 6 tenths off pole position. Timo not quite being able to get into the 1 minute 9s, but the world champion that he is, he should be able to. As in the second season of a Set Course Formula 1, we have 2 world champions. The first world champion being in P5 at the minute, and the most recent world champion being in P3. Let's see, can we see a new world champion into season 3? Pre-season will tell us nothing because the drivers could be sandbagging, they could be extremely pushing. Sort of some further back may extremely push, some further forwards may sandbag. We'll have to see. But at the minute, the timing screens are showing us as Fulvio Phoenix in pole position, Nassim Rula in P2, Samuel Ivanov P3, Samuel Ivanov P3, Jason Milanov P4, the Breaking Point Racing cars taking up the second row at the minute, Anastasov P5, Timo Nathaniel P6, Victor Bernat P7, Max Roma P8, Jeremy Goodsby 9th, and Will KB P10. We have 11 drivers at the minute. All of them, par the one that I was watching, are on track. As we now watch Phoenix to see can he extend his lead at the front. And we'll swap between him and Nassim to see can Nassim push further and maybe even surpass Fulvio Phoenix in this qualifying session to take his second pole position of the season, I want to say. But anyway, with 10 minutes on the clock, Fulvio Phoenix now crossing the line to start a lap. Into T1, he goes very nicely, getting into the corner. A lot of curve in P2, a lot of curve in the entry of T3. About 2 thousandths off his fastest time so far. Using all of the track you can through T4. Down to T5. T8, I've got the numbers all wrong. And that's turn 9. And turn 10. Let's just get a number to map into this track up. Okay, there we are, that's what I need. There we are. I'm not even going to try and pronounce some of these names. You know what? First sector I am. Fulvio Phoenix improving his lap time, going into the 1 minute 8s and sliding through the final first turn in the center S's. Nassim improving his time, not quite into the 1 minute 8, but close enough as Samuel is now in pit lane. Nassim into turn 4 and 5. Very nicely done. Turn 6 and 7, two very fast corners. You know I know the corners because I have open. To turn 8. Very, very nice. Turn 9. Brings the car as far as possible to open up the corner as much as he can. Returns to pit lane because he's not happy with that lap. Now watch Team Nathaniel sliding just under our camera and stopping, returning to pit lane, I presume. Yes, is his teammate here, Max Romer, coming through turn 12, turn 11 even, down to turn 12. And 13, 14 and 15, which 3 corners that aren't really corners, but I just considered it because there's big enough angle change for Max. Crossing the line to start a lap, I presume, into T1. The center S is here. Turn 1, 2 and 3. Turn 1 and 2, and turn 3 is Curve de Sol. Down the Retro Pasta now. Ooh, braking at the just about the 50-meter ball, getting the car turned into turn 4. Turn 5 is flat out. 6 and 7. Just up here, braking perfectly to take the line. You miss your braking point by a little bit too late. You're just going to go flying out of that section. Perfectly takes turn 9 and 10, sliding a little bit into turn 8. There's turn 10. As through turn 11. 1.3 second off pole position, but still beating his best time at the minute. Down to cross the line to set the fastest lap he can at this present moment. Crossing the line to a 1 minute 10.7. Not quite improving his lap time. I'm putting weird accents on because I'm in. Sorry. But at the moment, the top 5 are covered by 1 second. The top 3 are covered by 3/10. So we'll have to see. At the moment, with 6 minutes left on the clock, you have Fulvio Phoenix P1, that's in P2, Samuel P3, Anastasov P4, Milanov P5, Timo P6, and Max P7. I'm going to go for a second. I'm going to leave you watching our champion. I'll be back in a second. I'm just going to leave you watching our world champion in a minute as he tries to set the fastest lap he can to be on pole position. Apologies for missing the intersession there, but after that qualifying session, you have Fulvio Phoenix on pole position, Nassim Rula in P2, Samuel Ivanov in P3, Timo Nathaniel P4, Ross Anastasov in P5, Jason Milanov P6, Jeremy Guth P7, Max Romer P8, Victor Bennett P9, and Will KB P10. P11 is held by Stephen Coverza, the Force Tunisia driver, and we have no more drivers on the grid today. We have myself streaming the British version, and for drivers that for anyone that prefers to listen to something in German, there's Noah Bijou streaming on the German channel, which should be in the description of this video. Video live stream depends how you're watching it. If you're watching it months in the future, hello future person, how's everything going? If you're watching it now and live, hello present person, hope you're enjoying the stream. As we now wait for the countdown, I'm going to do my thing, which is create a janky camera that looks down the grid. Who's in pole position? The Force Tunisia. There we are, Force Tunisia. One of these two. I'm just going to show both of them. Our two Force Tunisia drivers, one of them being our pole sitter, which I think is the one on the right of your screen, and the other being the back of our grid. So like in Brazil where we had a Haas sandwich, we now have a Force Tunisia, a Rockstar Force Tunisia sandwich instead. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but well, there goes one of our Force Tunisias of Fulvio Phoenix. Tells me which one is on pole position. But the reason he keeps on leaving is due to Phoenix has returned, but the reason Phoenix keeps on returning is due to the way the server's set up. It has a 200 ping limit, which Phoenix, with where he is and how his internet is, Phoenix is not quite got the best internet, so does hit the 200 ping and over. It seems. So while he is an amazingly fast driver, the 200 ping that he hits does seem to hinder him a little bit, having to constantly leave and rejoin. 1 minute 30 until the cars line up on the grid. And you are watching oh God, our leader. As we look to who could be ended up lining P1. Nassim in the 47, which is just back here. You have sort of three drivers who I feel like could end up doing a lot this race, which is the two Breaking Point racing cars of Jason Milanov and Samuel Ivanov. Ivanov retiring at the end of the season, meaning that Anastasov will be taking his seat. And Nassim Rula, who could end up taking pole position if our Force Tunisia racer just there of Fulvio Phoenix does struggle to race due to a ping issue that he is having. So for now, we do have Fulvio Phoenix racing, and we should have him racing, but there is our P2 driver, just there. P3 is Samuel, I think, as the driver's, yes, it is Samuel, as the driver's teleport to the grid. I will get a nice little camera shot at the front as the drivers. Let's get as low to the ground as possible. The drivers have lined up on the grid. See them all very nicely laid out there. You can see the commentary cars at the background. They will return to pit lane. As we look from the front of the grid, it goes Fulvio Phoenix, Nassim Rula, Samuel Ivanov, Timo, Anastasov, Milanov, Guth, Romer, Bernat, and then will KB. So 10 seconds till the lights start. The lights have started now. 5 lights, 6 lights. And away we go. I need to change my camera views. We watch Fulvio Phoenix at the moment in pole position. Comes to the inside. And he keeps the car at the front. Nassim P2, Samuel still P3. Anastasov in P4, Timo P5, Guth P6, Milanov in P7, Bernat in P8, Roman P9, Covert P10, and KB in P11. Down into turn 4. Nothing happening so far. Milanov making a move on Guth. Ivanov going a little bit wide there. Letting Anastasov through into P3. And Timo looking for a move down the inside, tapping Samuel just out of the corner a little bit. Timo making his way up into P4. As we look forwards a little bit to the fight for P1. Ruler falling away a little bit from Phoenix there. Just trying to stay with him. Maybe even get a slipstream down this straight. As we watch the slipstream for the podium positions. We also watch the fight for P4, which could give someone a chance. Is breaking into the center S's. Samuel has the inside for T1, but turn 2 in the curve of the soul. He had the inside as well. He makes the move, taps Timo a little bit, and now into turn 4. Nassim trying to get a better exit into turn 5 and 6. See if he can pass Phoenix, but keeping with him. He's within 2 tenths now. Now stretched a little bit 3 tenths. Milanov losing a position there. Is he going to try and fight back? Losing the car a little bit. Understeering, going out wide, bring the car back in, staying ahead of Max Romer. But looking further up, the fight for the top 3 is very close. Each driver within half a second of the driver ahead. Phoenix pulling away a little bit. But as the position for the final point paying position does swap around, Bernat now in P10, will KB in P11. As Phoenix holds the fastest lap for the race at the minute with Anastasov holds the fastest lap at the minute with a 1:11.5. And so we look forward a little bit as Phoenix pulling Nassim along in his slipstream. Could we see an overtake made for the lead? Not quite, but they are very, very close. Trying to watch 2 fights here, the fight for the lead and the fight for P4 between 2 champions actually. And so with one of them leaving at the end of the season and the other seemingly struggling to keep up with the younger generation drivers, younger, I'm not sure on the ages of everyone in the league, but the newer generation of drivers coming into the league. Skill always improving, the amount of pace you need always improving as some drivers improve, some drivers stalemate a little bit with their pace. As Anastasov, 1 minute 10.7, the fastest lap of the race is now a 1 minute 10. So Anastasov goes to try and make a move on Nassim there. Not quite able to get past, going down the Retroposta, down into turn 4. Can Anastasov make a move? Not quite close enough, maybe breaking a little bit early there. KB is off at the final corner. He returns to pit lane. He will not be racing for the rest of this race. So every driver finishing this race will now be scoring points. as the fight for the top 3 is hotted up quite a lot. There's the only race on track. Everyone's still very close, while the rest of the grid has stretched out a little bit, as the pace between each driver and the consistency does stretch out a little bit. Max Romer, the only driver outside of the top 3 that is really chancing any fight, being within 1 second of Jeremy Guth there. But at the moment, Anas is sort of trying to get past Nassim Ruler. He does have a slipstream all the way down to Senna S's, but so does Ruler, so maybe Phoenix could lose a position or two here. Phoenix losing the lead into turn 1. Nassim setting his own fastest lap, but not the race fastest lap of a 1 minute 10 at the minute. Oh, as Phoenix comes over a little bit on Anas, so Phoenix spinning, and reversing onto the track. He's facing the wrong way, but he is very far off the line. Phoenix going from pole position, leading the race, to Nassim being past him, and now Anas sort of being past him. Timo Nathaniel in P3, in a podium position, as, oh, that seems like the steering could be out for him. Let's ride on board to see how it is. He's trying to steer to the left as much as possible to keep himself in this race, but he's going to have to take that car all the way around the lap, which I'm not sure he's going to be able to do. He's got the wheel facing straight. He's turning left to try and get it onto track, but anytime he hits the tarmac, he's not quite able to get it on. That is the end of Phoenix's race there. A painful sight to see. Phoenix went from pole position, leading this race, one of the fastest on the grid. Now he's out of this race after a small collision. I say small collision, a collision with Rostanas through Curva de Sol, which caused him to lose the car on the outside of the corner, and now no longer racing. Nassim now leading with 2 seconds to Nastor with 2 seconds for Timo Nathaniel. Gaps have opened up quite a bit now. We're just going to watch Max see if he can close up with Jeremy Guth, which he seems to be a little bit. Not much going on. We are on lap 6 of 36, 30 laps remaining. Anything can happen. Anything. Great racing so far. Our pole sitter no longer racing. Ivanov not quite in podium positions though, and I don't think he's holding the fastest lap either. Apologies if you can hear any sound in the background. I do have a younger sibling who is louder than an elephant. As Roma into turn 1, only about 4/10 off of Guth at the minute. Can he make the most of it? We'll have to see at the moment. As the timings does not seem to be working, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. As Milanov has DNF'd on the exit of turn 3, it seems. I did not notice that. Victor Bernat is retired. Oh my god, we've lost 3 drivers in the space of 2 laps. As Max Romer now heading down, chasing Jeremy Guth with 7 drivers remaining in this race, but still just under 30 laps. How many drivers will we have left? Because every single driver made like at least one small mistake in practice or in quali where they were allowed to return to pit lane. Where this track is rather unforgiving, where there are points where if you hit the barrier it will just send you flying, or it will cause you to have a large amount of damage, as we saw with Phoenix that took him out of this race. Down to turn 4 now. Apologies. If you don't like hearing illness noises, I'm ill. I'm just here bringing you the racing. As Max is losing a little bit of time to the driver ahead. He's the only driver with a fighting chance to gain a position at the minute, with 2 to 3 seconds between each driver on track, as Ivanov has lost 2 positions there. I'm not quite sure how, but he is now in P6 behind both Max Romer and Jeremy Guth. Maybe he has damage, or he's just suddenly lost the tyre, but he's seems to be struggling a little bit. Continuing on though. Yeah, 159. He must have made quite a big mistake at some point, sort of in that middle final sector. As Max is just a little bit slower than Guth through a lap, and so isn't quite gaining the time he'd like to be gaining. Ivanov seems to be holding or closing a gap to Romer in the Bijou Racing. It's a fight for constructors' points, which both teams very much need. The minute this could push. The moment, I think Bijou Racing Honda do clench the championship title in the constructors. Oh, that is Guth, who's very slow, having, I'm guessing, made a large mistake there, maybe sliding through the corner. And now Max Romer gaining a position into P4, and Ivanov gaining a position into P5. Ivanov 1/10, less than a tenth now. They're side by side, almost side by side, heading down into turn 1. Ivanov taking the outside line, which will give him the inside into turn 2. The second part of the center S's goes all the way around the outside and gains the position now. Ivanov fighting for P3 to beat his championship rival, Timo Netanyahu, or who was his championship rival. Now he has won the championship. They can still have a rivalry, but there's 10 seconds that Ivanov needs to close to be able to get a 6th podium? I don't know. To get another podium this season. Max Romer seemingly with a little bit of front wing damage, struggling to get around the corner there. Guth could capitalise off of this. Seven drivers on track. There are lots of very empty sections. If you look into the map now, there is not a driver in the first and almost not in the second sector. So there's an entire, just over a sector and a half of space that just opens up, because as the front runners go into the first sector, the back markers leave it. And so now there's a large area where there just isn't a driver. Coverza now. Stephen Coverza for Rockstar Force Tunisia, crossing the line to set a 1 minute 14.9. All the gaps are opening up quite a bit now, and I'll just leave you to listen to an onboard lap with our leader at the minute, Nassim Rula. Anastasov into pit lane, now making his first pit stop of the race. Stopping just outside of our view. There he is, making his pit stop. From P2, he drops down into P5. That seems, yes, Coverza is quite a way off. With now 10 seconds between Nassim and Timo, and then another 10 seconds between Samil and Timo, we will look at the progress bar. So, as pit stops have just started, Max Romer would be up 3. And us have started 5th and now would be net 2nd a minute. So we'd have to see after pit stops if anything happens. Pit stops, 3 drivers have made pit stops so far. That's Coverza, Guth and Anastasov. 3 drivers at the back of the grid, with 4 drivers having retired. Anastasov making a small mistake on his outlap, which could cost him a position, but probably not, due to his large gap he had to Timo when making his stop. Ivanov now in pit lane. He is going to lose position to Anastasov, as Anastasov is coming down pit lane now. And Samuel is just stopping. So Anastasov into P4. We look at each driver's gap to the leader, and now intervals to the driver ahead, which is a lot easier to see where the battles will be. So the minute is a big old gap between each driver. 7 seconds between Roma and Anastasov. 7 seconds between Ivanov and Anastasov. At least 10 seconds between every other driver. And just large gaps where drivers just sort of have to finish the race and they'll score decent points. Not quite the thrilling racing that we were hoping for, but it's racing nonetheless. As Nassim in pit lane, Timo also in pit lane. Nassim in pit lane, Timo in pit lane. Both drivers rolling down now. Nassim has finished his stop in this exit pit lane. Timo has stopped now. So will Timo be able to pass Anastasov in pit stops? Probably not, but it may be very close on the exit. No, as Nassim comes out of the pit lane, and he is... I'm waiting for it to tell me. It's going to be very close between Timo and Ross. No, it isn't, but Timo is rather close to Ross. That's 13 seconds between Nassim and Anastasov. Timo is about 3 seconds back off of P2, and Samuel Ivanov, our reigning world champion, is about 5 seconds off of a podium place. This shows that while in real life Formula 1, if you have a good car, you're dominating. In a set course of Formula 1, we have very equal cars, and the cars aren't updating every week. And so, if the driver's good in the car at one track, if he has a bad track, it's not like, oh, he's just going to be a bit slower but still win. It's going to be a lot more of a struggle. Because some drivers that do enjoy the track will be fighting a lot more to win the race. As it stands, after pit stops is Nassim P1, Anastasov P2, Nathaniel P3, Ivanov P4 and Goose P5. With 6th and 7th being Roma and Coverza, and 8, 9, 10, 11 all being DNFs. as Nassim sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 10.1. There are 17.5 seconds between Nassim and P2, who would have to DNF from this race or make a huge mistake causing a lot of damage. It will take him a while to get back to pit lane for him to lose this race. And so at the minute, Coverza is about a second off of race pace for these front runners. Coverza just coming out of Curve de Sol now into Retro Posta, while our leader is just coming into the Senna S's. So big gap between our drivers. Is a 1 minute 9.95 set by Nassim Rula, stretching out his lead and stretching out the amount of time he can get out of this lap in a race condition. So maybe he's running a 2-stop stint and running very low fuel with very soft compound tyre, and he'll fuel up for the rest of the race later. We watch now, and Nastisov 20 seconds off the lead. Ivanov almost in the podium positions now, only 1.6 off and closing. Coming to the end of the 19th lap of this race now, are Timo and Samuel Ivanov. Ivanov closing by about half a second on that lap. 1.5 between them, which is closing now. 1.5 still. Through T4, can he gain anything? We look now, under a second. It seems to be sort of through turn 5 to turn 8. Timo's a little bit slow, losing 5 tenths of a second there. This middle sector is not Timo's strong point. Timo must be running quite a low downforce setup and struggling to get through the corners, but gaining on the straights. As now onto the main straight we go. Samuel closing 7 tenths now between them. 6.5, 7 tenths. You can see Timo pulling away down the straight there. Into T1 we go just after 50 meter. Braking through the Senna S's into Curve de Sol. Very nice down the Retro Posta. Timo should start stretching the gap a little bit. This middle sector, Samuel closes about half a second, maybe a little bit more than half a second. So we'll just have to see by the end of the sector, will Samuel be close enough to use a strong slipstream and maybe get past into turn 1. So through that sector now. Timo not quite losing as much as he usually has the past couple of laps. 0.6 between them now. To the end of the middle sector. Timo keeping a pretty hefty gap, 5 tenths between them. Ivanov closing, he seems to have the slipstream, but Timo's lower downforce is gaining him time there. 2 tenths between them on that lap. There's 3 tenths now after the first 3 corners of the lap. Through turn 4, gap opens up a little bit. Turn 5. Samuel closing down. 2 world champions fighting for a podium position here. Lap 21 of 36. 15 laps to go. Samuel is closing down exponentially. Nassim setting a 1 minute 10.9. Still very fast laps, faster than some drivers' fastest laps on the track at the minute. A driver that's fallen away a little bit is Coverta, who is almost 30 seconds away from the next driver and is a lap down to our leader. Ivanov closing on Timo. No, he is not. Timo with the higher top speed is pulling away a little bit, setting almost identical times with 2 thousandths faster in Samuel's favour. And Ivanov closing. Now he's close enough where the dirty air is affecting him and the car struggles to turn a lot. From what I've seen drivers saying, is that they do struggle quite a lot with this car in dirty air. And the car sort of washes out a lot more aggressively than most cars when trying to follow close. So next year, this is the second to last round, lap 23 of 36. We have the Japanese Grand Prix to go after this race, and then that'll be it. As Samuel looking to the outside, gets squeezed and cannot quite make the move, but this could be the lap that Samuel takes another podium position and extends his lead in the championship after already winning the championship. As Ivanov 2 tenths behind now, less than 2 tenths. Ooh, Timo not giving him any space to try and make a move. Samuel just having to stay online. Giving Timo a little bit of breathing room, it seems. And then going to close back up dramatically. And 6 tenths between them leading onto this straight. Ivanov with the better exit and maybe a more locked differential so you can get the power down more aggressively and more power at once, but Timo with the lower downforce, 3 tenths faster on that lap. Timo was 3 tenths faster, extending the gap a little bit. Oh, Nassim is spun at turn 9. Back to the action, he's still going, and maybe a little bit of front wing damage, but it's fine. Samuel fighting with Timo. In this middle sector, could Samuel go for a move? He looks around the outside. Timo does not give him any space. He had no need to give him space as he was not alongside. And now through the bulk of this middle sector where the tight corners are, Timo's struggling with speed a little bit due to presumably a lower downforce setup. As now onto the main straight, is 3 tenths between them. Samuel closing slightly. Timo hitting at top speed and pulling away. No, he isn't. 2 tenths between the drivers. Samuel 2 tenths faster on that lap. Only about 4 tenths between the two. Can Samuel get this podium? Lap 25 of 36, 11 laps to go. Down into turn 4, down the inside, he wasn't quite close enough, had to slow it down, leave Timo the space. Timo taking a wide line, going around the outside. Ooh, Samuel looking for a move around the outside, but Timo not quite giving it to him. Timo planting his car in the perfect spots in the middle of the track, just outside the racing line, so that Samuel can't pass him, yet he can still take a good amount of speed through the corners. As Nassim, our race leader, pits for a second time. I think that middle stint may have just been to set fastest laps. He pits again, probably refueling and putting a harder set of tyre on. Let's look at the progress bar now. After pit stops, you have Coverza 4 positions up, making no overtakes, but with 4 DNFs, he's gained 4 positions. Phoenix losing 9 positions from pole position, and that's sort of making enough overtakes to have gained 3 positions. Roma, Nathaniel, and Nassim have all made 2 stops, but the rest of drivers have made 1 at the moment. Nassim and Ivanov are on the soft tyre, everyone else on the medium tyre. There are 7 tenths between Timo and Ivanov. Ivanov's tyres may have fallen off a bit, or maybe he's just given a little bit of breathing room so that he can just get the stint done with 10 laps to go, and maybe fight at the end when he might have more grip, maybe on a fresh set of tyres, or save it where has less fuel, where his car is a bit lighter there than Timo's, and then maybe be able to get past and then be able to save and just hold Timo up. Nassim on the pit stop lap setting a 1:27, and that's still setting a 1:12. Timo setting a 1:11.9. Ivanov setting a 1:12.4, about half a second there lost. And I'll let you listen to the screams of the 2009 Formula 1 engine. Over the last couple of laps, Timo has seemed to stretch the gap from Samuel out a little bit, it seems, to just under a second now. Samuel gains in the middle sector, but doesn't gain as much as he was when he was a bit fresher on these tyres. And these tyres gave him as much grip as he needed. Anyway, through turn 12. Oh, Timo struggling out of there. Samuel taking advantage of that, taking himself round the outside. Can Samuel gain the final points paying, the final podium position? Timo a second slower on that lap. Yet Ivanov was not quite able to pass him. But down this straight though, ooh, almost putting on the grass. Almost a Stroll Sebastian Vettel incident there. Except it wasn't his teammate. Oh, Timo moving over the road quite a lot there. The stewards might have to look at that for maybe illegal blocking. Because Timo was all over the road there. Making a move to the inside, then the outside, then choosing the inside and moving to the outside. I'd say just before or during the braking, so Samuel was pushed onto the grass and having to take a very wide line, losing a lot of time to Timo. So I'm not sure if there was a penalty there. Personally, there could be. I need to watch it over again, but we'd have to see. Actually, I can watch it over again. Yes, as we watch the racing happening at the minute, Ivanov losing about 6/10 on that lap. Timo choosing the inside of the track, pulling to the outside, coming to the inside, and then, oh, just before braking, he comes back to the outside, but Ivanov does look to the outside, so I don't think there'll be a penalty because Samuel is the one that moved onto the grass. And Timo was slowly coming over, but it was like predictable amount because he'd straightened up heading towards the outside of the corner. Seven tenths between the two drivers, with both one championship each and looking to try and get one more podium each, but only one podium place is able for them, as Nassim is setting 1:10's race pace, and Nastasov only about 3 seconds up the road, but still a lot of gap to close. And Ivanov slowly closing in on Timo, but not by quite enough. They're slightly faster than Nastasov, but not quite fast enough, because there's about 4 laps of this race to go, and still not much is going on. Four laps of this race to go, and Nastasov would have to make a major mistake to lose the position, but 2.7 seconds to close in 4 laps. It is possible, but that's about, it's almost a second a lap now, because it's 3 seconds. Ivanov trying to close the gap to gain the position. Not quite able to. If we look from the rear wing of Timo, you can see absolutely nothing, because the way the rear wing sits and this camera's mounted, you can't see the car behind, but you can see the suspension. Ivanov 5/10 faster that lap, hunting Timo down. Actually down to T4. Samuel just not quite is not quite close enough to. Sorry, give me a second. I'm being called. Or is Samuel going around the outside at turn 6? Can he get the move done? Not quite. He's going to look down the inside. I'm being called. Sorry, give me a second. apologies for having to deal with that. But at the moment, we're on lap 35 of 36, and Samuel Ivanov is leading the race. Actually, I might be getting a wireless headset at some point, so I'll just be able to stand up and do my race commentary. But I don't have a standing desk, so I'm just going to stand up, walking around my room, looking down at my monitor. That'd be fun. I'm standing up right now just because I can't bother to put my headset on. At the moment, 1 second between Samuel and Timo. I don't think we'll see any fighting between these two. But down into T1, I think this is how, unless there's a huge mistake on this final lap from Anastasov, Timo, or Samuel, this is, or Anastasov or Timo, this is the lineup. So Nassim most likely going to win the race. He is almost at the end of the lap already, as we will swap to him quickly just before the end of the race, as Nassim rounds the final full corner, comes down the straight. Nassim Rula, he's coming down the main straight to the line. Nassim Rula wins the Brazilian Grand Prix for 2012 Motorsport Racing. Rost Anastasov rounding turn 11 there. Timo and Samuel very close behind though, so Anastasov could lose P2 if Timo gets good enough of a run, but closing 8/10 just down this straight, maybe a little bit of a struggle for him. Pushing all the way down, foot flat to the floor. Timo closes about 2/10, but Anastasov takes P2. Timo Nathaniel P3, Samuel Ivanov P4, and Max Romer is probably going to take P5 as Jeremy Guth takes P6. Koverza P7. The 4 drivers retiring from this race is Bernat, Milanov, and Phoenix. And that is the end of this amazing first course of Formula 1 Brazilian Grand Prix. And so I will swap to just the screen saying the driver's champion, or the standings even, and I will get maybe some interviews done. Apologies for coughing, but I can't help illness. Yeah, I'll just quickly mute on stream, and I'll get back to you with interviews. And we are here with our race winner, Nassim Rula. Congratulations on the win. Oh, let me unmute Discord. There you are. So that was quite a dominant lead after Phoenix had his incident on lap 6.
Oh yeah, I need to look at that actually. Because all I saw was a bit of contact and boom, there was no one else. But yeah. Phoenix was pretty good defensively at the start. Like I struggled to get close enough, especially through the final braking zone. It was always very strong there. So I just so I just couldn't get past until like the lap where we had the incident. I had a really good final corner and finally was able to slipstream past. I purposely, I literally made seventh gear a bit longer because I was running right up the rev limit in qualifying, so I turned it up just so I can use the slipstream properly.
Oh, nice.
Schnellste Runde? Wer hat die schnellste Runde?
Yeah. So, yeah, congratulations on
Thank
the
you.
win. That was like I had what 30? Was that 30 seconds or 15 seconds to second place?
It was like 25, I think.
Oh, yeah, a good race. You were setting, I think 2 or 3 laps in a row. You set the fastest lap.
Yeah, that was the 3 laps after my first pit stop, I think.
Your first pit stop, were you on low fuel or was it just the fact you're on soft tire?
I think it's a combination of both because my
Ah, okay.
strategy this race for me, the tire wear was moderate, I should say. So I was just running quite low fuel for all my stints. That certainly helps with pace, and that's why I think like sometimes 2 stopping can be stronger than 1 stop because you're always running lower fuel.
Hmm. Yeah, okay. Yes, congratulations on the win. And without seeing yourself, who would you say is your driver of the day today?
Rostislav Anastasov. I think he's the guy. Yeah, the guy on P2. Because other than the unfortunate accident between him and Phoenix, I haven't seen it yet. He's driven quite a strong race. He was challenging me quite a bit at the start when I was stuck behind Phoenix, who was very good defensively. So I think he had a go at me alongside. I managed to stay ahead, so definitely give it to Anastasov. But I've heard there was good fight between Timo and Samuel as well. Also, I didn't see that, but that they could be good candidates as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to next season because there's a lot of very strong drivers that have joined sort of midway to the end of the season.
Really looking forward to it.
Such as you
It's-
and
it's-
Rost.
Yeah, it's a massive shame. It's a massive shame that Phoenix and Anastasov crashed out because it could have been a very very strong fight for the lead with us three. You know.
Hmm. Yeah. Now on to Ross. Congratulations on second place. Another podium for you. Very
I'm so
strong
happy
finishes.
because I didn't have the pace in qualifying. I was, it's over for me, max 5th place. But the start, I made amazing start once again. I don't know how I make it, but I like it that way.
You made your way up into about P3, I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
P3 behind, no, P4 at, I think, turn 2.
Okay.
Then I overtook Samu at the end to the second straight after the start line, you know. And from then we had like a small battle with Nassim and Phoenix. Unfortunately, Phoenix I think spun on lap 6, and then I touched him and broke my wing. Fortunately, it was only little damage, and I was able to continue to my first stop, I think.
Yeah.
Then I pitted a lap earlier than I'd expected to do because my tires were actually dead and the front wing was not helping. Yeah, from then just a good race. At the end, Timo almost catched me, but I wasn't giving myself, I wasn't pushing myself just because it was last lap and yeah, just drove to the finish line.
I cannot cut you. So I have fight with Samuel. It's cost a lot of time. So
I think by the end you closed about 3/10 just down the main straight.
Yeah, it's a very nice battle over the complete race. It's very great. It's very nice. So I'm back on the podium.
Yeah. So Rost, without saying yourself, who would you say is your driver of the day?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Timo, because he had a very good defense. Well, for like Samuel, he kept him behind almost all race, and that's for me deserves the driver of the day.
Okay.
Once again.
Now on to Timo. Congratulations on another podium.
Thank you.
It's been There's been a little bit since we've seen you on the podium, but you've had a lot of P4s.
Yeah, a lot of people it cost the championships, but but Samuel is a great champion in this season, and it's very okay. Today was felt like a victory. So with my defending at Samuel, and yeah, it's great race, great to see. So
congratulations on the P3. And without saying yourself, who would you say is your driver of the day?
My driver of the day, Steven.
Steven.
Steven is Steven.
Good to hear.
Little joke. Nasim is really fast today.
Yeah.
Anastasov is really fast today.
Mm.
Samuel is really fast.
Mm.
So
There's always next year.
I think Nasim. Yeah,
With
next year.
with one more race to go, there's still one more chance for a win.
Yeah. Next year, next season, we have a great grid.
Yeah.
So Nasim, Anastasov.
Yeah,
Phoenix,
from
2 races.
Phoenix as well.
The comeback, Milanov comeback.
Yeah, from what I've heard from the. You go.
What?
I was going to say, from what I've heard from the drivers, they sound like they're going to prefer next year's car to this year's car at the minute.
I think the next year's car is better than this season car.
Yeah.
So
To be honest, I don't really mind this car.
This season car is a really shit show. So,
to be honest, I personally, I actually don't dislike this car. Like, I really like how it feels in the corners, because especially with my setup expertise, I can really make it turn a lot, so like I get a lot of rotation. The only problem for me is the braking, but I can manage it.
Okay.
So it's why I think I can match Phoenix, because usually he's insanely fast, but with this car, with my braking and the setups, I can actually, be close to Phoenix, sometimes be quicker than him. Because like he's very strong in qualifying. It's very difficult to beat him in qualifying. In the race, I feel like maybe, I don't know why, but I'm a bit quick in the race. Probably setup, to be honest.
This season car is great when you have the challenge for setup, and when you find the right setup, then you can go and you can have great fights. But the dirty air is a really problem with this car. So you cannot follow a car ahead. So one lap and then it's end. So the tires
I could definitely feel the dirty air when I was behind Phoenix. So it always kept me at around 4/10, but the slipstream was, I feel, strong enough to counteract that. So towards the end of the straight, I was always like maybe 2/10, maybe 1/10 behind, and could maybe go for a fake move and try to get him down the next straight. I think balance is probably pretty good, and maybe the both of them should have been a bit weaker, but whatever. It's still fun to drive for me.
Yes, congratulations to you both for the podium. Thank you for the explanation on the car as well, and I'll be ending stream there. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you Timo and Nasim for driving, and we'll see you in Suzuka in 2 weeks.